Hi everyone, welcome back to High School Science 101. A couple of years ago on the channel, we taught you how to fly, and today we're going to teach you how to sail. And of course, we'll cover some science along the way as well. Let's get started. The mast is held up with 3 cables. At the front here we have the forestay, and on each side we have these called sidestays. We've raised the mainsail, and now we attach the boom, which the bottom of the sail threads through, and that gives us control over that sail. We've got the mainsail up, and now it's time to put up the second sail, which goes at the front, called the jib. Sailing actually has a lot in common with flying, not only in terms of the terminology that we use, like port for left and starboard for right, but also in terms of some of the equipment that we use as well. So this is the rudder, and this slots into this, which is the tiller, and this gives us our steering. But what you might notice about the shape of this rudder is that it's wider on this side, and then it tapers off to an edge, just like the surface of a wing and the shape of a wing. And as it's cutting through the water, it generates high pressure here and low pressure towards the back. And so that causes an acceleration of particles towards the low pressure and gives us a bit more lift on a wing, or in this case, a bit more thrust underwater. In sailing, every rope has a name. We have our main sheet, which allows us to move our mainsail. We have our jib sheet, which allows us to move the jib. And at the front here, we have what's called the painter, and this allows us to tie up the boat to the jetty so it doesn't float away. Let me take you on a bit of a tour of the back of the boat here, or the stern of the boat. We have an electric motor, very handy as a plan B in case the wind dies. It's hooked up to a battery down here. And we have our tiller, which I showed you before, and our rudder is at the back sticking into the water. And this allows us to steer the boat. You might be wondering what this rope is that's connected to my tiller. Essentially, I can manually steer the boat, but then if I want to do something at the front of the boat that requires me to leave the tiller, I can just lock it in place, and now it won't move, and then I can, tighten up some knots or just go hands-free. From here, we've got a really good view of the two sails on this boat. We have the mainsail, which is responsible for most of the power. And at the front there, we have the jib. And the jib gives us a little bit more power, but also gives us more control over the boat as well. When we're going with the wind or downwind, we relax the sails, and the sails act as a bit of a parachute, and the force of the wind pushes the sails, which moves the boat forwards. Going downwind is fairly straightforward, but how does a sailboat sail into the wind? It doesn't really make sense. Well, the answer is you can't sail directly into the wind. You have to zigzag or tack. We call it tacking. So at the moment, the wind is coming from over in that direction. So I can't sail directly in that direction. I have to sail about 45 degrees to it, at an angle to it. And then when I get closer to that bank, I'm going to turn around, go into the wind a bit, and then 45 degrees in that direction. And that will be tacking or zigzagging towards the wind. I can show you a quick demonstration of this. At the moment, this jib, this front sail, is pretty tight. And in fact, you can see the strings there, the telltales, and they're moving, which means there's wind blowing across it and I'm getting some speed. However, if I sail into the wind, so the direction of the wind is over here. If I sail into the wind, watch what happens to the sail, to the jib. It starts flapping, and that means I'm losing power and I'm losing speed because I'm sailing into the wind. And if I go back to my 45-degree angle, you'll see the sail tighten up, and then I pick up speed again. So to adjust my speed when I'm tacking, I can point the nose of the boat further into the wind and then I'll lose power. Or this is the boom and the bottom of the mainsail is attached to this boom. At the moment when we're tacking, we want the boom fairly close towards the center of the boat. But this is the main sheet. If I loosen this main sheet, I can then push the boom out, and then the sail will go in the direction of the wind rather than against it, which will also make me lose speed and slow down. As you can see here, the boom of the sail is roughly in line with the center of the boat because I'm tacking. But if I want to slow down, I can, or if I'm going downwind, I can uncleat this, release the main sheet, which is this rope here attached to the boom, and then I can push out the boom, which pushes out the sail. And when I'm tacking, when I'm going into the wind, that slows me down, but when I'm going with the wind, it acts as a parachute and allows me to catch all the wind into that sail. When we're sailing into the wind or tacking, it's really important that we move the front sail as well, the jib. At the moment, the wind is coming from the left-hand side, the port side. In a moment, we're going to turn and we're going to face into the wind and then keep turning so that the wind is coming from the right-hand side. And as I do so, I have to move this jib from this side of the boat to the opposite side of the boat to catch the wind. So I'm going to turn it now. Turning, turning, turning. I'm going into the wind. And now I am in the wind, directly into the wind. I keep turning because I want to be 45 degrees to it, and you can see the jib wants to move across. So I pull the jib sheet, and now we're about 45 degrees into the wind, and we can move forwards again. Let's learn about two more ropes. This rope that's tied off is what I used to pull the mainsail up, and this is called the main halyard. This one down here is the rope that I used to pull the jib up, and this is called the jib halyard. The boat has a number of these, and these are called cleats. Cleats basically hold the rope in place for you and lock it in place. So at the moment, this rope is cleated, this jib sheet. But now if I want to move the jib sheet across to the other side, I pull up, that uncleats it, and now I can pull the rope through, like so. And now if I want to pull it back across again, I can pull the rope, and that's cleated and locked in place. We have another cleat down here. This is for the main sheet. So I can uncleat it, I can pull the rope through, and push the mainsail outwards. And then if I want to tighten the main sheet or lock it in place, I pull the rope, lock it, and now it's cleated and it's not going to go anywhere. This is another type of cleat, and this one is at the stern of the boat. This one helps me lower and raise the centreboard. So at the moment it's locked, this rope isn't going anywhere, but if I want to adjust the centreboard, I can uncleat it and pull, and that raises the centreboard, or I can release it and lock it, and now the centreboard is lowered. You might still be wondering, how does the boat move into the wind when we're tacking? Fair enough, we have to be 45 degrees to it, but wouldn't the boat just move in the direction of the wind? Wouldn't it just drift downwind? And the answer is really under my feet. Boats have a keel which sticks underneath the boat into the water. And in this case, it's a retractable keel called a centreboard. When we're tacking and when we're going into the wind, you've got two opposing forces. You've got the wind pushing the sail, which pushes the boat in one direction, but then you've got the keel underwater, which is opposing that force and pushing the boat in the other direction. And so you've got one force pushing the boat this way, the other pushing it that way, and they cancel each other out, and subsequently, the boat moves forwards.
That's it for today. Hopefully you've got an insight now into the skills and the science involved in sailing. And if you're interested in starting sailing, by all means get in touch with your local sailing club. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.